Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, Gazbot. It's day 84 of 100 Days of Making Comics, and I'm feeling a bit like a scumbag. Not that I've hurt people in some way, but I'm dirty. I'm wearing the same shirt I've been wearing for like 2 days. I really need a shower, and I am just a dirty, dirty boy. Well, that sounded weirder than I meant it to. I don't have to leave my house very often, and usually when I do I'm riding my bike, so I sweat and whatever, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I get gross, but people are like, oh, he got off his bike, of course he looks disheveled, and you know, unless I'm doing a caricature gig or going to meet friends, I don't need to get that cleaned up. And I also am one of those people, I don't really have a lot of body odor. I mean, I sweat a lot. Like if I go for a 10-minute bike ride, I'm like drenched, but just not a lot of stink for whatever reason. Which is good because on average, I take a shower every other day, and that's fine, and nobody notices. My hair doesn't get too greasy, I don't get too smelly, just my biology works that way. Once I get to the third day I haven't taken a shower, then I start feeling grimy. Other people may or may not notice, but I notice. If I go 4 days, it's a problem, and I'm on day 4. And part of it was just that I'd been working, and like it's... You know, and I'm sure people can relate to this where you skip a meal or whatever, and I'm less likely to skip a meal, but I am more likely to skip a shower, especially because I'll wake up, you know, like 11, 12, whatever I feel like, and then, you know, have breakfast and work, and then maybe I'll take a bike ride, maybe I won't. Q comes home, and we eat dinner, maybe watch a show, whatever, and then I work, and go to bed. That's kind of an average day. Obviously, sometimes I do more exciting things than that, but there's no point there where I'm like, oh crap, I better take a shower, you know what I mean? Except for that after a few days I know I should. So today, I planned on taking one yesterday after I took a bike ride, but I didn't take a bike ride. So I woke up today feeling kind of grimy, and I'm like, well, I don't want to take a shower, go for a bike ride, and then have to take a shower. Because if I get all sweaty and gross, I will usually take a shower afterwards. But basically, I didn't take a bike ride, I didn't do much of anything all day but work, which is good. I feel like I'm back in college, or, you know, I'm back in the... just having one of those jobs where I'm like, oh my god, I gotta work 24/7 to get this done, which I don't have right now. I mean, I have work, but it was a really productive work day. But what suffered was hygiene and everything else. So I didn't really spend much time with Q. I didn't really do anything but work all day today, which is good. You know, it would have been good to get a little exercise, but I worked on coloring for the Earthling. I was saying yesterday how I was worried I wasn't going to get the pages and there might be a delay, but I didn't get all the pages, but I got a handful of them, enough to start work, and I'm doing that thing where I'm working 2 up. So I have both of them in almost, you know, in good shape, but neither one done. So tomorrow I'll definitely finish up one of them. So that was a big part of my day. I was responding to emails, doing some of that kind of stuff, correspondence, which oftentimes is fruitless. Today it was fruitful. I got a new commission. And I think I said a couple videos back, I'm not going to take any new jobs until after March because I got to finish up what I have, then go to Japan, blah, blah, blah. But this commission, I've heard other people say this too, where like, I can't take any more work. Oh, but I had to kind of do this because it was part of a thing I was already doing, or it's a returning client or whatever. And that's true. And this was a returning client, but here's the more important part. It's for a commission for me to do a sketch of... Larfleeze, the orange Green Lantern, well, not the Green Lantern, the Orange Lantern, the only Orange Lantern. And he's like kind of a monster character, and he's a fun character to do, and I actually had read the Blackest Night series, so I know who he is and stuff. And so it's kind of a fun thing to do. It's not, you know, your typical client work, and it's a one-and-done sort of piece. But I still have a schedule where I'm like, well, am I gonna have time to do that before I go to Japan or whatever? So I talked to the guy, and he's a nice guy. I worked with him once before, and he's a really good client. And I said, you know, I'll try to get it done in the next 3 weeks, but if I can't, you might have to wait till the end of March when I get back from Japan. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, that's no problem. So that is a job I could take. It's not a lot of work. It's kind of a more fun job, and the client is flexible with the timetable. So good. So that was that. The other thing, I did work on the horror quite a bit. I did 2.5 hours today, which felt good. Honestly, I could go more. There's another one of those days where it's like 2:30, I still have to do a video, but like I had one more panel on that page and I was tempted to just do it, but I was like, if I do that, I'm going to be exhausted when I make the videos. And I also wanted to do something else with the videos, which I'll talk about in a minute, for today anyway. I didn't do a process video. I'm just going to do the crossfade, and I'll go ahead and throw that up right now. So here is page 12, 2 more panels done! Two more panels done! 2 more panels done! Anyway, so, and once again, I'm like much closer to like rough pencils than actual roughs, which is fine because, you know, more and more, and it's not that I'm not doing the roughs, I'm kind of doing the roughs and then cleaning those roughs up to rough pencils right away. So it's like I'm doing the step I would normally do on a whole page, panel by panel. So, whatever, I'm going to stop fighting that because that seems to be the way my process wants to function. My process wants to function. Anyway, sounds like something, you know, a computer program would say. I'm Tron. I'm Tron. No, I'm Flint. I want to be Flint. Flint's cooler. So anyway, at least in the first movie. I'm digressing. I digress. So, one of the things, before I get into the other thing, which, what is the other thing? I don't know. You'll find out. Is that relating to the process of the drawing and the way I'm working is I do find that I enjoy it more when the steps, when I'm doing everything, when the steps are removed from each other. And what I mean by that is this. Sometimes when working for a client or working for myself, and it doesn't apply so much to a single an illustration, you know, like a one image or whatever, but when I'm doing pages specifically, if I write it and then, whether I write it or not, if I take page 1 and I thumbnail it, and then I, you know, sketch it out large, and then I turn it into pencils, turn it into inks, color it, throw in letters, whatever. By the time I'm done with that page, I've spent days on it, and I hate it. And I'm like so sick of looking at it, and I might even see mistakes by the end, but I'm like, well, I'm not going to go back and fix them now. I just did lettering and coloring, you know. Not that I'm not trying my best, not that I'm making it be the best I can, because whatever, I do consider myself a bit of a professional in that way, that I don't blow deadlines, and I always do my best. Even if I hate my client, even if I hate the subject matter, I try to do it as good as I can, because I just, because of it's professionalism, but it's also my own, like, I don't want to put something out there that I feel like is not good. And I sometimes have to let it go, and it's not as good as I'd like, but that's not from lack of trying. It's usually just I run out of time. So, that's my new thing. I grab air. I'm an air grabber. You've heard of air walkers? Well, this is air grabbing. Air bending? No, air grabbing. It's like a weird, it almost looks like a magic trick or juggling, but it's not anything. It's just like the affectation of that. Like, oh, what? Here. Oh, is this your card? Ah, there. It's the flourish without the substance, which is me. Oh, no, I have a little bit of substance. But, so anyway, what I was saying is, the way I've been working on the horror is, on the surface is how I usually work, in the sense that, like, progressing series of roughs to finals. But how it's not is that I, you know, wrote all the issues of the series, so the writing's done. And that doesn't mean I won't go back and tweak it as I go along, but I don't have to work, like, that is done. Now I'm not thinking about the writing at all. You know what I mean? I kind of pay attention where balloon placement will go, but I was like, okay, thumbnails. And I thumbnailed the whole first issue. So that by the time I go back and I'm roughing the first page, it's been a couple days since I looked at the thumbnail. Like so today I was working on page 12, for example. I didn't even remember drawing those thumbnails anymore, you know what I mean? Like, that was weeks, months ago, you know? So I hit it with a fresh eye, and I may make adjustments, I may not, but it is like coming back to it fresh, even though I've been working on it constantly. And it's the same thing when I'm looking at these roughs now, or type pencils, roughs, whatever you want to call them. If I immediately go right into inks, I'm going to be kind of recorrecting the same things I've been correcting, and I'm in the exact same place. And whereas now that I'm halfway done roughing the whole book, by the time I get to the end, by the time I get back to this page, it's going to be weeks, months, whatever, and hopefully just weeks, but, you know, I'm being realistic. And I'm going to, again, have fresh eyes. I won't be sick of the page, and I might pick up on mistakes that I missed last time and think of a new way to solve them, or, you know, I might have forgotten about something that was really bothering me that apparently doesn't bother me. And then, you know, I don't think I'm going to do color, but if I did color, it'd be the same thing where I'd come back to it. And I just find that I'm enjoying that, because, and it helps me understand why comics are an assembly line, because that way, well, it used to be for time, and then pencilers and inkers for technology and stuff, but there's also an aspect of, it's sort of disheartening to take, at least for me. I mean, some people might get off on this and, like, totally love the process, but to me it's disheartening to be like, oh, it's been 3 days and I'm still working on the same page, even though I've put hours and hours in every day, you know, whereas even now where I'm only putting in, you know, between a half hour and 2 hours on average every day, I'm getting through pages, more than one page a week, you know. They're not finished, but there's progress on them, and I move it down the conveyor belt, you know, and for the next guy who's going to have to ink it, that will be me, but it feels different and fresh. Anyway, that's kind of the minor little thing I thought about my process today that I'm now sharing with you. So if you don't work that way, and you have the luxury to try it, maybe it'll work for you. Okay. But I talked about doing something different. I've been catching up on videos, as always, and I'll put the links to everybody I mentioned down below. I finally finished Scott Serkland, who did his 100 days, yay, but of course he did it a long time ago, so yay in the past. And I started rewatching Peter Palmiotti, who has his playlist fixed now, so it's easier to watch. So if you were thinking about watching Peter Palmiotti, now's a good time. And I checked out a couple other people that are current. I'll just put a list to a bunch of the hundreds below that are still doing it. But the other day, I had watched a Scott Serkland video where he was showing some old artwork from when he was a kid in high school and stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that, and he's like, do it. And I'm like, well, here it is. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what's going to be the next part of this video. So it's going to be a little bit long since I've already talked, and I'm now going to do this. What I would ideally like to do is say, oh, here's some chronological stuff, and you can see how I progressed. But I just kind of have some boxes and notebooks and stuff that's all mixed together. So I just grabbed a handful, and I'm going to kind of flip through them on camera, and I'll probably edit it so you're not literally just watching everything I do, but I'm just kind of open them, see, react as best I can, and explain what we're looking at as best I can. You know, maybe if I feel really ambitious in the future after the 100s, I'll have like a whole video of just, here's the progression of my art in order, and here's comics I've worked on, and blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I just grabbed, there was like 2 or 3 drawers full of sketchbooks and things like that, and I grabbed a few out of different ones so that hopefully they'll be from different times and whatever. So let's go to that now, shall we? Okay, so this is a little bit awkward for me. I have this on the table, and then I have the tripod, like I'm standing behind the tripod, so my voice is probably very loud. But anyway, we'll dive in here. I used to use these sketchbooks a lot. I pretty much don't use sketchbooks anymore. I use scrap paper around my table, or I sketch on the computer or whatever. So let's flip through. Ah, look, a girl on a toilet. This is from one of the many comic stories that I never finished. I had the script kind of half done, and I had done a bunch of character sketches, maybe like rough on 1 or 2 pages. And this comes back to the focus thing, because clearly I didn't focus. But yeah, and that toilet is gigantic. This, so when is this from? 2009? August 2009. So that means 5-6 years ago. And right away I gotta feel pretty good, because I could draw this much better now. Like, the girl doesn't look too bad, but this is a stall of a bathroom? Alright, if you say so. Me of 6 years ago. And I am also... this actually I like better. This is from the same story. This was going to be one of the main characters, who was based on me as a 12 or 13-year-old, and I might still do something with this concept. This is... It's kind of supposed to be me, pudgy guy with this stupid parted-in-the-middle fluffy haircut and zits and everything. And this is a character I had made up called Screamer, which was the... This is like kind of my kick-ass. I didn't quite get that far, but like... I had the idea that I was going to be a vigilante in real life. I was a messed up little kid. I was not very happy. Didn't have a lot of friends. And the whole video might just be me talking about this. But this character in the comic was based on me if I had actually done the vigilante thing, and it would go very badly. And it wasn't going to be kick-ass in the sense that that would be the whole story, but it was going to be, you know, just like, it's based on real life though, that's the messed up part. But so I had these high-top leather shoes that I was going to put nails in from the inside sticking out, and so that was one line of defense. There was no taking karate classes or anything like that, no carrying a gun, nothing real. This is a jean jacket. See, I actually kind of half-made this costume, too. This was a jean jacket that I cut the sleeves off of and put on backwards. So this is the back of a jean jacket that I spray-painted an X across. X for Screamer, of course. This is a microphone, which I had, like kind of one of those bigger, older ones, like with kind of a heavy head to it. And this is the microphone wire. And on the other end, and this is a real weapon I had made, because, you know, I was a 13-year-old suburban kid with issues. And this... it just sounds so much more messed up than it probably like talking about it now. Like, this is pretty messed up, but it really wasn't that messed up. But it sounds way worse than it was. This was a bunch of nails like big ones, like carpenter, 2x4 nails that were taped and sharpened to be like, I don't know, a morning star or something. And this part was even better. The reason there was smoke coming out of it is because I ripped out all the electronics and would fill it with flour or powder or something. I don't remember how. I had some mechanism so it would stay in until I tapped it, but I could like shake it and create like a smoke screen. Not a good one. And then I wore goggles to protect my eyes from the smoke screen. Now, all of that was actually stuff that I had kind of built for this costume in real life. Where I didn't continue, but my next step would be, this here is supposed to be parachute material. And the idea is that it's stapled to my clothes, but then reinforced with these straps all along here. That's what all that is. So, like, I couldn't sew, so it was going to be stapled, glued, taped, and then Velcroed, and somehow that would keep it correct. Spray-painted stars. They kind of look like pentagrams, but I wasn't into satanic stuff, so it was actually just stars. Because that's what a cool vigilante named Screamer would have. And if you notice, I'm supposed to be on a roof. It's not the best drawing of a roof, and it's also bad because this house is much taller. But the idea would be that I would get on the roof, and this is when I was in middle school, and I lived near the middle school, so I always thought, like, oh, I could get over there really easy. And I'd get on the roof, hang out, wait till I saw some bully that I didn't like that would bully me, and I'd wait till he was bullying someone else, and then I would jump off the roof. But the parachute, you see, I'd spread my arms and legs, and that would allow me to sail down like a flying squirrel. And then, I'd probably knock into him, or at least catch him off guard. There'd be the smoke coming down. They'd be like, what's going on? I'd swing around my nail Morningstar microphone, and then if they got too close, I'd kick them with my nail shoes. I was big into nails, apparently. I should have been called the Nail for Justice. But anyway, that is Screamer. We're not going to get as far as I thought in this video, or it's going to take forever, but... and there's Rodimus Prime with the Target Master. I think I might have been set off the toy, I don't remember. And that was some dream I had. This is the thing I did for a while. I was taping in... I think I was like maybe starting to draw on scrap paper, so I started taping it into, my book. Yeah, here's more Triclops, Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles. That was a friend of mine as a Green Lantern I had done. That was Wonder Woman fighting some guy, I forget his name, some DC villain. There's a bunch of that. There's boring. That's a monster. It's in Blue Line called Trundle Carriage. Didn't do much with him. I have a lot of random monsters and things like that. Let's skip ahead a little. Some girl, I don't know why. Oh, this was back when I was desperate to get work, and there was some listing on Guru or something about comic art, and I was trying to get any comic art, but it was like that sort of erotica, not straight up porn, but like, oh, and then her boobs grew or something. I don't remember. It was just like a thing where like, I was like, maybe I could draw that kind of stuff. And I think I did a few sketches like this, and I was like, I don't even want to do that kind of stuff. This was another one where like, oh, she's magically turned into a maid or something. And yeah, you see I was drawing on a lot of blue and red. I was just talking about this on one of Kevin Cross's videos, actually. That's funny. These are thumbnails. These are thumbnails for a comic story I actually did do 8 pages of, but I never did anything with. I did type pencils of the 8 pages. That's a Sinestro with a neck that is not in the right spot. But I did those 8 pages and literally never did anything with them. There's a Wolverine, there's a Master Chief. So this is all, that is a giant head. I remember when I did this, I knew that head was too big. I had scanned it in and then scaled that down. Sergeant Slaughter from G.I. Joe. This stuff is all not super recent, but it's not like horribly far from what I do now, terribly embarrassing. This is a bunch of friends and I used to play HeroClix, and we had a reunion, and this was everybody as their HeroClix that I just sketched. It's Mike Dawson, Alex Robinson, me, Chris Radke, and Luke Harms. Not that you know any of those people. These two are cartoonists, though, so maybe you do. Oh, I never finished a lot of stuff. This was for a one-panel gag I was doing with these two monsters, and they're supposed to be eating something, and then the joke is it tastes just like people. Yeah. Oh, they're eating chickens. They're eating chickens, and they're like, it tastes just like people, because human and everything is supposed to taste like chicken, and these are monsters who eat whatever. I'm now glad I didn't finish it, although the monsters are kind of cool looking. What I was saying, though, is none of this is like crazy. There's Deadpool, embarrassingly old or whatever, and the stuff that's bad, a lot of it, even at the time I knew it was bad, but it's just my sketchbook. There's Valkyrie from Marvel, the Wizard from Marvel. That was a character I created. I might go back to him. I thought he was kind of cool. He's kind of like a evil scientist kind of guy, but fun. Yoink! I think I was, for a lot of times I think about making a fighting game, and he would have been a character in that, and also this next guy would have been a fighting game character. Okay, so let's move on from this, which is semi-recent, which, again, I definitely see improvement, but not that kind of, whoa, great. I was looking at this. It's a ShoreCon. I'm from the East Coast, so that, you know, East Coast, New Jersey, Shore, 98. And this was, you know, some role-playing convention or whatever. And I was trying to remember, I was flipping through, I'm like, why do I have this? Because I didn't do the cover, and I didn't do the back, and I don't remember doing art in it. Then I saw this, and then I remembered why I have this. Let me see if I can get it in frame. This MonCon logo right here, which I did. And again, this is one of those things that even at the time, I mean, I was happy with the drawings overall, but this was, let me see if I can get it closer. It was a really bad reproduction of it, like the print, and it wasn't 100% final art either. And this is one of my first, I used to work at a shop called Hobby Masters in Red Bank, and I had a couple art benchmarks there. One being my first or second paying gig ever. I had put up a flyer, hey, you want me to draw your role-playing character? You know, $10, $20, whatever it was. And somebody, the owner's daughter actually hired me to do her character and paid the 10 or 20 bucks. And that was one of the two first paying jobs I had. I don't remember if it was literally the first or the second. And I drew my heart out, but in retrospect, it was probably terrible because it was a girl and I, you know, couldn't draw girls very well. But this was something different. This came a little bit later. And so that was a benchmark, is that it was one of my first paying jobs ever. This was a benchmark where it was my first dealing with like artist rights and client things and kind of the business end of it, because another guy that worked there, who was also a son of one of the owners, who I was friendly with, knew I was into art and had asked me if I was interested in doing some kind of logo because they were starting this new convention, this MonCon. And I remember going to the local college. And this is probably boring to look at. I'll flip through as I'm talking. I remember going to the local college, and there's nothing but words here. All right, we'll leave it on that. Going to the local college, Monmouth County, I believe, and it was a meeting with all the head muckety-mucks that were going to run this new convention. And they talked about what they wanted, and they kind of wanted, you know, to represent all different role-playing games and board games in their logo, and I wasn't good. I'm not good at logos now. I mean, I could do it if I have to, but back then I didn't even have an idea how to approach it. So I was like, oh, you wanted to incorporate it? Well, then I'll make each letter a thing, literally. And I think we met again, and I don't remember what the discussion of payment was, if any. I honestly don't remember. I think there was discussion that money would be exchanged if they used it or not. I don't know. But then we met again, and I had a bunch of rough sketches. This was one of them. And my rough sketches back then are like my rough sketches now, where it's almost finished artwork. But you can see there's like kind of a superhero RoboCop-looking guy here. And then this was for like a spy game, like a James Bond thing. And then the two ends are one big robot, which is really awkward, where he has his arm coming up with a gun, and that's like a laser sword, but it's also black. And this is for like war and strategy. It's a tank, and this was more like Dungeons and Dragons, like a wizard, you know. And this is so small. I had drawn it like 8.5 by 11, so it filled this whole page. But again, like it was kind of like I threw in some Sharpie blacks just to kind of get my point across, and it certainly wasn't meant to be finished artwork. And we never met again, and I never heard anything. I'm like, oh, I guess that didn't go anywhere. And I didn't get a deposit or anything like that. You know, I didn't have any idea of how things were supposed to work. And then fast forward to 6 months, a year later, I'm in the shop. I no longer work there. And I'm like, oh, ShoreCon, that's neat. And I wonder what this is. And it was literally like, I flipped through, and I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? I drew this. And it was a thing where I went from being really excited to see it to then be like, wait, what the fuck? Beep. It was kind of like when I saw that Godzilla print of mine at the show the other day. It's like, oh my God, it got printed. That's so cool. Wait, what? They never told me they were going to print it. I didn't get paid. We didn't have a discussion. That wasn't final art. And so, but the weird part was that the owner was, you know, the parent of the person who I had done this with. And so I kind of said that all right in front of them. And they're like, what? And they're like, I thought you had worked with them on that. I'm like, yeah, but we had 2 meetings. I showed them some roughs. I never heard anything again. And like, I never got paid, or they never even told me they were using it. I never even got a copy of this. I just happened to look through it. And so, long story short, I ended up getting 50 bucks for it by being a polite but insistent person that like, this is unacceptable. This should not have been done. It should have been bigger. They should have let me know, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, how about we give you 50 bucks? We own it. And that's the end of that. And I said, okay. And so that was another big landmark, like I said, in my career. So that was a good thing to find in my little pile here. Notepad. What is this? This can't be from that long ago, because that looks like it's a sketch of the Phenomenauts, a band which is here on the West Coast, but I first heard them on the East Coast, not that long ago. Oh, that's a really bad sketch of, what's-his-face from Farscape, Stark. Bunch of lists.
Some terrible drawing of a car. More garbage, a bunch of lists. Jane Grey. What is it? Oh, I think these are lyrics. Yeah, you want to hear? Okay, let's hear some lyrics. These are going to be terrible. I'm not much of a songwriter now, and I don't even remember writing this. So, I know you're not the one for me. I know we weren't meant to be. I feel you can't be what I need. You want me to meet all of your friends in one weekend? How many emails can you send? Oh, I see weekend and send rhyme. I guess I'm better than I thought. You ask me why we're not soulmates after just 2 weeks. This seems really specific. I feel like this was written for somebody, like, after these things happened. If you want to be the one that I adore, you gotta howl at the moon on all fours. This should be embarrassing, but I don't even remember writing this, so I can't be embarrassed. It's like somebody else wrote it in my handwriting. That's crazy. And I remember most of the songs I wrote, even the bad ones, the ones I didn't finish. I don't think this was ever put to music or anything. I feel like I had some weird encounter with a girl or a breakup or some stupid argument, and then we're like, I'm going to make a song about this. That's hilarious. That's terrible. Okay, not really art, but I think it's amusing. All right, Middletown High School South. That's where I went to high school, and this is a calendar. So let's see. There's some nice high school art. This, I think, was Daniela Serra, who was like one of the best artists in the school, did that. Look at that, stippling, huh? That's something I'll never, ever do again. More stippling, man. All right, but that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, this was not done by me. It was by my friend Derek Humphrey, who... he was one of my first art friends. He introduced me to a lot of stuff. He introduced me to Akira and thereby Japanese animation. I mean, I had seen Speed Racer and Voltron and stuff like that, but, you know, actual from Japan stuff. He also introduced me to a game called Wing Commander, which made me want to get a computer for the first time. So we had a falling out, but I give him a lot of credit for a lot of cool things in my life. A lot of other really terrible... Oh, there's another friend of mine, Rob Lewis, did that. I think they were called the Dirtbags. She used to be crazy straight edge, but not anymore. And I know all these people. I keep going out. Oh, look, there's my friend Mike Dawson drew that. That was the guy that I was playing Hair Clicks with. He's quite a prolific cartoonist now. He did Freddie and Me and a couple other graphic novels you could check out. Oh boy, here's mine. Okay, this is probably at the height, or maybe at the height or the dawn of my I Love Image phase. So this is The Outclassed, and I think, is that a copyright? I don't know. And so this is one of a million characters and teams, which I feel is very common, that I made in high school that never went anywhere. I don't even know if I ever drew a page of this comic, but these are the 3 characters. And this guy was like a Superman type, but he was kind of a nerd. So the other 2 were like always jerks to him, but he was still on the team anyway. I don't remember his deal, except that he had a trench coat, because Gambit had a trench coat, and I thought Gambit was cool. And I guess he's made of shadow or something. This guy kind of looks like Han Solo, but wow, look at his face. He looks like a lizard gross. Like, that's actually not terrible, but that's like, they're not even the same species. And tons of lines. This is all, it looks almost like it was drawn in pencil, but this is all in pen. I used to use a rapidograph that was like, I don't remember what the diameter was, but it was the smallest one you could possibly buy, and it cost me like $30. And I would do all of this in that one pen, which is insanity. Even if I wanted that level detail, I should have used thicker pens on some of it. Okay, this is getting really long. Let's see what we got. The last one. Now this was mainly for photography. So this would have been one of the times I went to community college. I went to like 5 or 6 colleges. I actually did get a degree in animation from SVA, but it took me a long time to get there. Okay, this was another early professional gig. Not as early as the other ones, but again, centered around role-playing. That's an ogre I drew, and that's not terrible bad. It actually looks really good because it shrunk down. I think I drew it like 11 by 17, knowing it would be this big. So, you know, it's very forgiving when you shrink things down. And I remember I drew it, I was inking stuff on vellum, but not like Bristol vellum, but like the thick tracing paper vellum, because I'd heard, oh, it's good to ink on vellum. And like, I mean, I think some inkers used to do that, but that's so weird. I don't know why I felt the need to do that. But yeah, so I don't know why that's in here, but that was lucky. Oh, and there's another one. Okay, so there are some goblins, and I remember this one specifically was supposed to be based on a mask that they gave me. So, like, these goblin faces were based on masks they had. Oh, that was what I forgot to say. This was for a live-action role-playing, like a LARPing thing, that I didn't play. I knew the guy because I used to work in a video store, and he came in there, the guy that ran it. This was a dark dwarf, and so he has, like, a goblin concubine. Yeah, and this was all Zipatone, too. I remember this was another, like, 11 by 17. That was all Zipatone. Just weird, unnecessary stuff. A lot of that I got from Joe Kubert. That was sort of just, like, not on the cutting edge. Like, I went there at a weird time when it was in a transition. These are slides of something I can't even see. Hey, can you see the slides? Are those good? It was all photography. Yeah, for a while I thought I was going to be a photographer. Oh, look, God, don't. That's terrible. All right, fine. You look. Ennui. But, you know what, again, it's embarrassing, but it's not that embarrassing, because I remember at the time doing it on purpose to look stupid, so it's not like I ever thought this was a really good thing. Anyway. Oh, look, there's a Star Trek postcard. But yeah, I was at community college, did that. What do we got here? Dark lens cover, okay. And there's a picture of some kid from my class. Alright, so I'm going to stop now. I could go on forever, and I could find some more things, but I'm going to take you back to me.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly got a kick out of it, as you can tell. It sort of was less of a, look how I've progressed as an artist, and more like, here's some crazy stories from my life. But, you know, like the one with the Moncon logo, I guess that was kind of a defining moment in my life where I realized, oh, I gotta pay attention to the business end of it as well. So yeah, I might do that again. Maybe for the hundreds, maybe after. But I do feel like I could have spent more time on just these, and I've got like 10 times that sitting around my house area. So that is the end of day 84, which is today. And that means... well, we've got 16 days left. Oh!